We all know how expensive buying a home can be nowadays. So the last thing you want to do when you're buying a home, especially for the first time, is make a mistake or find out that you're overpaying for a home. Buying a home is a pretty big investment, so it's really important that, especially for first-time home buyers, when you buy a home, that you get it right. Even though buying a home today is easier than it's ever been before, there are still some pitfalls that you need to watch out for when you're buying a home. There are some things out there that can really hurt your chances of getting your dream home or cause you to pay too much for your home. I think a lot of buyers' worst fears is to buy that first home and thinking they did a good job, thinking that it's perfect, only to find out that it needs some major repair or like water's just flooding in on the basement, or to find out that when they go to sell a few years later that they paid way too much for their home or they're underwater on their mortgage. If you're worried about some of these issues, then hey, don't worry, you've come to the right place. In this video, I'm going to present to you some buyer mistakes to avoid to help you buy that dream home. And while you're at it, don't forget to hit that like and that subscribe button so you can be notified when I come out with more real estate videos in the future. The first mistake I'm going to talk about, I already mentioned it a little bit in my previous video, so if you haven't seen that, make sure you check that out, especially if you're a first-time home buyer. But my first mistake that you need to avoid is only chasing after the new homes that come on the market. When you first start looking at homes on websites like Realtor.com or Zillow, the first homes you're going to see in pretty much any area are the homes that just came on the market or have only been on the market for a day or two. This is just how those websites work. They want to push the new homes on the market because that's going to get them the most views. If you've been looking at homes for a while, you're even more inclined to start looking at the brand new homes on the market because you've probably seen the other homes. So when those new homes come on the market, they're going to have a lot of eyeballs on them. They're like the shiny new object. Pretty much everybody who's looking to buy a home is going to gravitate straight toward them. Of course, there's nothing wrong with taking a look at homes that are brand new on the market. In fact, I encourage you to take a look at those homes as soon as they come on the market because we all know they can be gone in a flash. The problem you're going to run into, however, is if you only take a look at new homes on the market. I know a lot of buyers out there, even if they don't realize it, are only paying attention to homes that are just coming onto the market. Any home that has been on the market for a while, they tend to ignore them or not pay any attention to them. I know this because as a realtor, when I often send them homes that have been on the market for, let's just say, longer than average market time, they tend to ignore them and then want to see the home that just came on the market yesterday. If you're not careful, this could be a huge mistake for you as a buyer because those new homes on the market are going to have the most buyer competition. And we all know the more buyer competition you have, that's when you run into multiple offer situations, and that's when you run into homes selling $20,000, $30,000 over the listing price. If you're worried about overpaying for a home, that's a surefire way to do so. Just because a home has been on the market for a while doesn't necessarily mean that it's a bad home or it isn't the right home for you. The home might actually be perfect. There just might be another reason that the home's not selling. For instance, maybe the buyer simply overpriced it, or maybe the home doesn't show quite right for whatever reason, but that still shouldn't stop you from taking a look at the home because you'll be surprised. You might find a diamond in the rough. And also remember that homes that have been on the market for a while have less buyer competition. And if the home has less buyer competition, then you're able to swoop in there and negotiate a discount on that home. Once again, I did touch on this on my previous video, so check that out if you haven't, if you really want to know how to get a deal on a home, even in today's market. The next buyer mistake that you need to make sure you avoid is basing your offer only on what the seller previously paid for their home. In case some of you are wondering, yes, that's actually a thing, and a lot of people do it. In today's information age, you can find pretty much whatever you want to on the internet. Anything that you want to research is pretty much right at the fingertips of your smartphone or your laptop. Some of that information includes what the seller previously paid for the home, which for some reason a lot of buyers tend to look into when they want to make an offer on a home. They want to see how much money the seller paid for it when they bought it. Once they see that info, the buyer then tends to start to get in their feelings and start thinking, hey, the seller only paid X amount, so they should be willing to accept this lowball offer. Unfortunately, that's not how real estate works. I hate to be the one to break it to you, but it does not matter what the seller paid for the home. The only thing that matters is what the home is selling for now. Also, remember that you can research what the seller previously paid for it, but you have no idea how much money the seller may have put into the home themselves over the years. Even if the seller didn't put any work into the home, the seller isn't just going to accept a lower offer than what they are asking for just because they paid a lower price for it a few years ago. If you wanted a home like that at the lower price, you should have bought a home like that at that lower price a few years ago. The fact is, if you're trying to buy a home now, this is what the home is worth now. So it does not matter what the seller paid for it a few years ago. I'm all for researching as much as you can about the property, but I would honestly recommend that you don't even worry about looking into what a seller previously paid for the property, because it doesn't matter and it's only going to make you upset in the end. There's no good that's going to come from that. The seller has been working to pay all of that equity off over the years, or they may have bought the property cash, but that's their investment. The seller's going to want as much as they can for their investment, so no, they aren't going to accept your lowball offer just because they don't owe anything on the property, so why don't they just give it to you at a discount? Once again, that's not how it works, so you just need to get that out of your head as a buyer, because if you're thinking like that, then you're going to end up missing out on a lot of deals, on a lot of homes that may have worked out for you otherwise. And while I'm on the subject, just because a seller may owe little to nothing on their mortgage does not mean they should be willing to give you the home at a lower price or at a discount. The sellers invested a lot of money over the years in paying off that mortgage and building up that equity themselves. So of course they're going to want as much money as they can for their investment, wouldn't you? As a buyer, you need to get out of that mindset on basing your offer on what the seller paid or what the seller owes on the property. Because if you think like that, then you're going to end up missing out on a lot of homes that may have been perfect for you otherwise. The next mistake buyers need to avoid, which I don't even know why I have to say this, but today's market has been so hot that I do have to address it, and that's to never waive your home inspection. Once again, I know the market is hot. I know there's a lot of competition for these homes and you have to do what you can to beat out multiple offers, but you should not buy a home if you have no way of inspecting it. There are just too many components of a home and too many ways to hide the problems of a home for you to waive your inspection. That's just too big of a risk for a buyer to take, in my opinion. Now, I know some people waive their inspections in order to get the home, but once again, I don't think that's a very smart idea, especially for a first-time home buyer. I'll give you a quick example. Let's just say the seller has hardwood floors throughout the house, but there's a big stain in the middle of the living room hardwood flooring. Or maybe they spilled some water there, or there's some water damage or some sort of damage. Now, the seller, of course, doesn't want to pay to fix the hardwood floor, so they just put a big rug over it. You as a buyer come in, see the home, you love it, and you want to bid out all the other offers, so you waive your inspection. Now you don't even notice that huge stain or the huge mark in the middle of your living room floor until you do the final walkthrough. The seller's taking everything out the home, including that rug that was covering up that carpet, and now you're stuck with that hardwood flooring with the huge damage in the middle of it, and you have to pay for that repair. Or here's another more popular example. What if there were some leaking in the basement foundation and the seller just put a quick patch job over it and you didn't know to even look for that quick patch job? An inspector with the eye for this stuff would have been able to find it and let you know that, hey, this crack's probably going to leak within a few years. But if you waive your inspection, you won't be able to notice that. And 2 years after you buy your brand new home and decide to finish the basement, you find there's water everywhere ruining all of your updates. See why you need an inspector now? My advice to you as a buyer is just do not waive your inspection. You need your home inspection. I don't care how hot the property is, there should be other ways for you to make your offer competitive to a seller besides waiving the home inspection. Just don't do it. It's not worth it. The next home buying mistake that you need to avoid is for all you bargain shoppers out there. I know about this because I'm a bargain shopper myself. I always love to find a deal. But this mindset you need to get out of, and that's only making a lowball offer on a property no matter what the listing price is. Some buyers just can't stand to pay the asking price on a home. They just can't do it. It's just not in their blood. It's sacrilegious to them. In their minds, they're supposed to be able to negotiate something off of the price, and they feel like if they're not doing that, then they're getting played or they're getting screwed out of money. Even if you can provide research and show that the property is actually listed well below the market price, this person doesn't care. They need to bid lower than what the seller is asking for because they got to get them to get some money off of the deal. That's just how they're built. If you're a buyer thinking like that, in today's market, you're going to have a very hard time finding a home because we all know how much buyer competition is out there and how many people there are that are willing to pay the asking price or to pay above the asking price. So as a buyer, you probably need to get that thought process out of your head if you want to have any success buying a home. If this is your thought process, to help you out, I recommend that you as a buyer always have your realtor pull some market comps for the property that you're looking to make an offer on. If the property is at market price and that's what the research shows, then by all means you should be willing to offer them the market price because that's what the home is worth, especially if there are multiple offers on the property. Now, if you find that a property is overpriced, then by all means offer lower than their asking price because you feel that the property is overpriced and you don't want to pay more for a home than what you feel that is worth. Remember, just because other buyers are willing to overpay for a home doesn't mean you should be willing to, right? However, you need to let go of the thought process of just getting the seller to lower their price no matter what they have it priced at. It's almost as if you really don't care about getting a home at a lower price. You just care about beating that seller at the negotiation. So if you're doing that, you really need to think about what's more important to you. Finding your dream home or just beating the seller out of a deal and getting them to lower their price just so you can feel good. Now, once again, I'm a bargain hunter too. I always like to try to get a deal no matter what, but just hear me out. This is something that you kind of need to look into or look out for just to make sure that you're able to actually get your home, because if you don't do this, you can find yourself looking at homes for months, making lowball offers, not getting anywhere. Once again, don't shoot the messenger. I'm just trying to let you know how it is in today's market to help you be successful. That's all. Alright guys, those are my buyer mistakes that you need to avoid if you want to be successful buying a home in today's market. Any questions or comments, always feel free to reach out to me either through the comment section below or through my website, which is BaileyAcresProperties.com. Once again, my name is Rob Bailey, realtor in the Chicagoland area with Arnie Realty Inc. Thanks a lot, guys. Have a good day.